You know, I always set this up thinking it's level, and it isn't. That's probably a bit better there. Right, so, new video. We've just had the wettest August day in 20 years or something, 25 years, whatever it is. And it's just slowed me down. And also with the COVID thing, stage 4 lockdown, we can't go out, waiting on bits to get here, the post is overwhelmed. So, kind of scraping at the bottom of the barrel to get a few bits and pieces out. I did want to take it to the point where I need to thank a few people. And there's a lot of people that have given me a lot of support. When I did the XW, I just sold the Galaxy. Bummed I sold it, but couldn't have done that without it. And so I had some money to buy some parts, and I had a small personal loan which I paid off, and you know, all this sort of stuff. And Michael Crump came and he did. Michael Crump's a parent from the school I work at, and I taught his daughter when she was in year 7. Now she's approaching her mid-20s and she's a lawyer. Very bright girl, great kid. And he came in his own time and did all the welding for the XW. Because at that stage I didn't have a welder, and I wasn't that great at MIG welding anyway. I've sort of improved my skills a lot since then. Asking questions and, you know, practicing what he told me. The same sort of thing as spray painting. I'm not a spray painter. I don't want to sound conceited, but we got Susie's Commodore back from the panel beater after somebody smashed the window, and they ended up fixing the back door as well. But the paint on it's nowhere near as good as the Starlet. And that's a professional joint, and I did the Starlet in here. So I was quite... The one side of that is I actually like that I can do it, but... And that's practice as well, but I'm pretty crook that they didn't do a very good job. They also stuck a tinted window in the driver's side, so it's got to go back and get redone. So we're in bikes at the moment because it's winter, and there's another project I've been doing at the moment, kind of like in the same vein as what some of the other guys do, Will It Run? And so it's not a road I want to travel. But there are some people I want to talk about, and there are a few, so bear with me. A lot of patrons. I always release patron videos a week or so before I release them publicly, if you know what I mean, as a way of saying thanks. And I used to do, or periodically I do, ones called the news, and I just talk like this about bits and pieces that are going on. But some of them have been such a help, it's just ridiculous. Jason Hill would be the first one that comes to mind. He trimmed the XW and the XC. Jason's a very generous guy, so I do what I can to help him with his wiring and that sort of stuff with his cars. He is taking a sabbatical from the cars at the moment because he's going through some stuff. But hopefully he'll be back quite soon. And I said to him with the Plymouth, do you want to do that? He goes, yeah, right. And I said, but you're not touching it until I pay you, and I'm going to pay you properly. You need to... I mean, he also provided all the damaged parts for the XC, the body parts that I had to weld in. Jason's done an incredible thing. Richard Graham is another one. Now, Richard Graham's a long-standing friend from the Wolsey Car Club, and he posted this, because I keep using a small flashlight like torch for seeing what I'm doing. I had a head torch here, one of these Arlic jobbies. I paid $5 at Bunnings. Don't like it, never did. This one's like got a fully rechargeable couple of massive cells in it, and it's got battery status and all sorts of other stuff. But not just that, I only use the one LED on the front, and it's that concentrated. I can see everything, and my eyesight's crummy. I put this on, I can see the world. Of course, there's different modes. I'm not going to shine it straight at the camera, and there's these ones. They're really concentrated, if you look there. But then you've got all 5 and it flashes. I don't know why the strobe's in, but that's amazing. Richard's financially supported the channel since I started the Patreon stuff, and he got sick of seeing me with a torch in my mouth. I think I was putting door seals on the Starley, and so he stuck that in the post. Thanks very much. And there's been so much support like that. You know, all the stuff Jason gave me, Dave Raymakers with his bikes, and doing the work on the MG, and the first Blue Starlet, Michael as well. He was involved with that, Michael Raymakers, and I stored the MG at their place for 12 months or more, 18 months probably, and they didn't charge a cent. Alex, of course, Seville Auto Electric, sorry, he did all the, anytime I run out of puff with the Auto Elect stuff, he's been incredible as well. And going back through the XC, and this is why I've had inquiries about, am I finished with the XC, am I selling the project? And all that. No, I won't. So much of that car has been given to me. or donate it to the cause is probably a better way of putting it. I'll never sell it. Paul Harker did the manual pedal box, the power steering bracket, the driver's door hinges, and again, I didn't think I need door hinges, but I did. Mark Stella with the high mount interior light, the high series interior light with the map lights in it. He also gave me a lens as well. Andy Brooks, another one, the SSV POM from the Ford Forum. Headlights, buckets, spare lenses, front nose guard sections, brand new old stock ones. And he introduced me to Neil, which I said the bike I paid $800 for. I didn't. It was $650. I think I paid for the T250. And Neil's work was fantastic, and you know, now he's in Canberra, I think, and he's looking for another project, and I kind of feel guilty about that. But Neil was really good too. Grant Wickham's another one. Taillight stainless surrounds, the stainless steel boot edge, the boot edge trim. Same as a GT and XB. Those things, you know, just a trim is $250 if you go to a bloke that's got one, you know, that sells stuff. But Grant has donated a lot of stuff too. The taillight lenses, the left-hand door stainless trims, you name it. Warwick Tetlow, the camber pins. Matt from the Ford Forum, the Fairmont grill and lights. I've got another set of grill and lights for the XC out there as well. John Parnas is another one. John Parnas has a lovely XB, and he donated the wiper arms and blades, the windscreen mouldings, the front and rear view mirror, and boot moulding, and the acetal for the window repairs, the Delrin that I made the electric window repairs with. Hayden and Matt Larragee, the bonnet scoops. Joel Clark, a full set of front windscreen surrounds and corner pieces. So the whole front windshield surround, which was a pity painting it black because they got to be black on those because they were actually in really good nick as stainless. And I gave him the old GSX 400 I had. I think that was him. I'm pretty sure it was. Bobby Smith, the stainless the other stainless door top mouldings. Liam Scanlon, who's also a fellow teacher in Queensland, the wiper and centre air vent knobs, which are like new old stock, and also that beautiful Fairmont GXL steering wheel hub. They're hard to get and they're not cheap. And Liam donated those. Russell, a chap called Russell, assortment of hardware for restoration work. And John, my brother, compressor. And also he helped me with the bonnet when I bought the bonnet. And that was like a new old stock bonnet on that car. That is worth $2,000 on today's money, and I paid something like $500 for it. Gary Penny, the CB 750 fuel tank, which came all the way from Alberta. Andy Newstead, he's the brother of Scott from Cold War. He's sent a new old stock headlight for the T250, which is round with a flat bottom. You can't get that stuff. Where do you get that stuff from? Scott, of course, the steering wheel core, which I used for the Plymouth, and an original Mopar washer bag. And all the Ford washer bags that I've been using are $40 American. The Mopar stuff's about $250 American. And of course, Phil Rule. Phil gave me a bunch of oversized pistons for the one we're building behind me, and a gasket set, and also a brand new lead-acid battery. Another person I want to mention is Barry Ford, and I think he's got a channel where he restores Matchbox cars. He has a hobby which is CB354s, and he sent me a stack of stuff. I got a junkyard engine for a 350 that was in a go-kart, and he sent me a frame, forks and a swing arm, an engine cover, a starter motor, a sprag clutch, because that motor had been gutted for its sprag, and so it was kickstart only, which didn't work very well. Because I know I'm going to build another one, which will be a custom one. So I've got a restored one, original, but I wanted to build one that was more my taste. And so I know this is a thank you video, but also I'm going to ask for some. If anyone knows where I can find a twin leading shoe front hub for a CB350 twin, maybe the left or right hand fork leg with the stop for it, I'm not really sure. I know exactly what I'm doing with that though. The problem with the UJM stuff from the 1970s is it's perfect in its design, and the midsection of a CB350F's no exception. They're beautiful looking machines, and so there are improvements you can make, mainly to the back end, but I'll use the bits I've got and maybe buy a couple more. I've got to get in touch with Barry again because there are a few other bits that I hope he's still got. He sent a cylinder head too, that's right. And you know, so I know exactly what I'm doing with that. There's a lot more aftermarket support, or at the time there was a lot more aftermarket support for the XW, because all your XW Fairmont and XY Fairmont stuff is the same as GT. So the guys doing GT Falcons, you know, were the recipients of some good aftermarket support. The XC stuff, not so much. It is now, it's a bit better, but also prices have gone up a lot. And because you're relying on used parts for the XC, I think I'm up to 25 grand on the XC now. If I was to do that now, gee, with all the parts that have been donated and Jason's trimming and everything, that'd probably be 40 grand. And it'd be at the same stage it is now, at least. Now, the XC was a funny project because I originally intended to have a budget of 15,000 on it. And that would have done the body and painted it, and I had a 351 engine. And John from Old School Auto Parts gave me a gearbox, or sold me a gearbox for 350 bucks or something that he had. It was not in stock at the shop. I think he had it at home. And I ran the numbers. It's a close ratio XB GT box. And it's like, oh. But originally, you know, it would have still had the Borgie in the back with the drum brakes. It would have had a second-hand interior in it. I planned to do it like that, but as I started doing the work, people started donating stuff. And then the patrons kicked in, and, you know, they've paid for a lot of parts. And so I thought I'll up the ante and do it better than the XW. And the XW is a nice car, but the XC will be a heck of a lot nicer. And so I shifted the bar on that car, and I didn't know at the time door seals and so that sort of thing would be so expensive. But it was a car that I didn't know when I started it how it would turn out, and I've just gone with it, if you know what I mean. With the XW I knew exactly what I was doing. The Starlet I knew exactly what I was doing. The Sigma I knew exactly what I was doing, but the XC wasn't like that. It was a sort of an open-ended thing. It's been a frustrating build. If I had my time again, I would have got a better car, or probably an XA. An XA is what originally I wanted, which would have had the 390 in it and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, I'm not worried about how it is or how it's going to turn out. In fact, it's going to be a lot nicer than anything I was anticipating. So the cost of it has blown right out, but I couldn't have done it without the patrons. And you hear this all the time, you know, this is people who, I can't run the channel without patrons, and they're using the patron funding as their income, which is fair enough. But I don't. I've got a full-time job. I'm a school teacher, so the funding from Patron goes all onto parts. And with the COVID thing, the Starlet, the blue one had to go, and that got to, I divided up $2,500 and gave it to the kids, and just go spend some money because the morale was low because they all lost their jobs, and I was fortunate enough to still have mine. So, you know, the Patron thing meant, with the beginning of the XC, that I was looking down the barrel of selling something. I was teetering with selling the MG. It's not in a saleable state. It runs well. It's got a restored engine bay, and the engine's beautiful. The interior's all done, but the body needs doing. So I was sort of teetering with doing that, or thinking about doing that. Where now, you know, this has allowed me to get a lot more cars and the motorcycles and this sort of stuff. And, you know, I just wanted variety on the channel. The channel started with a Wolseley 2480, and I liked that car. That was a nice car. Then I started doing the XW, so it sort of became a Ford channel, which it wasn't supposed to. It was supposed to be a bit of everything. And I've done mowers and a washing machine, motorbikes, you know, anything that takes the mood, because that's the least stressful thing. Once you concentrate on one thing and it becomes hard, it becomes a chore, and I didn't want that. And that's the reason, with the XC being so frustrating with all the dodgy stuff that was done to it, that's the reason I've jumped off it and done other things and gone back to it. And so I want to see the XC done sooner than later. I'd like to see it finished this year. It's been, what is it now, August 2020? I started in August 2015, so it's 5 years it's been going on. And there's not much left. There's really not much left, but I just get pissed off every time I see people asking stupid money for parts. Because I just don't think they're worth what people seem to think these parts are worth, but I'm very happy with how the progress of it's gone. Graham Newbury's a new guy. He's the XA Coupe guy. XA Coupe guy channel who I was talking about on the last, what's it called, live feed. And even he wanted my address to send some XC, I think, nose trims for the front. Again, you can't get them, and so he's helped as well. Rachel Evans has been a huge support. She's a patron supporter, and she's offered bits and pieces of hardware as well. And you know, also I want to say welcome to all the new patrons. I think there's a guy I've just noticed, David Dove, who's just joined up as well. So, although I've done these sorts of things before, I just wanted to say to you, I haven't forgotten. We're still doing all the projects we said we'd do. I have no intention of getting rid of them in any of the foreseeable future. And because things like the XC, which has had more support than anything else, if it was to the point where I had to get rid of it, I'd contact those people and offer to pay for the parts that they donated. I wouldn't dare profit from, I can't stand that. People that are profiting from other people's generosity, I think it's disgusting. And there are so many people that do it. The problem is, people that profit too much out of this stuff are the reason that the parts become so incredibly expensive. Poor Jason paid $600 from a renowned rip-off merchant for a boot lid for his Fairlane, and that still ended up not being as good as the one he had. You know, and they're the guys, these people peddling rubbish parts are the ones, the reason why good parts go up so much, and you know, the normal enthusiasts can't afford to get the work done. So, where does it leave us? It leaves us with a bunch of parts on order. I've got these little plug-ins for the Suzuki. They're non-resistor type. I've got one dodgy one. They've got a boot that goes on the bottom like that, and one that goes around the lead. The leads are on the way. They're coming from England. I picked dark green ones. I didn't want black. The whole bike is stainless or chrome and black. I wanted something a little bit different for the lead, so dark green ones. Solid core, so I'll replace those. Beautiful badge for the side cover. This way it's like lead. It weighs a ton. It's a very, very good reproduction cast of the original badge. And the other thing that just came was the speeder cable, because the other one was seized and just munted. So that one's come as well, which is really good. That was like $17. You know, it's Zippo. Someone local makes them. Now this is from a very good friend and supporter of mine, Harvey, and he is an instrument builder. He built the Dash and the Sigma. Look at Harvey's Dash. What a gentleman and a scholar. And he did better than a factory job. The basis of the sports instrumentation on the Sigmas is a sort of a lime green clock and lime green lens and all this. And he did it all in aqua, which matches the interior beautifully. He double wrapped this too, and I've just taken the outer layer off with my address and his address and so forth. And I'm keen to see what he's done. So let's have a look. Oops, there's some tea. I'm a bit of a nutbag with my tea. Whoops. It's even written gloves are worn during packaging. Goodness me. Outer layer of paper wrapped, sprayed with sanitizer and then taken to the post office. This guy doesn't miss a trick. He's an amazing fella. So in here we've got light filters if you need for any future work. He's included a whole bunch of light filters. My God. There's a yellow one, blue one. Look at it. This is like you know, like your high beam. That's like polypropylene type stuff. That's exactly what it is. I think it is polypropylene. A very robust plastic. I'll package that in a moment. I'm too excited to see what's in here. And he's got some notes. That's probably just a note for me. Hi Peter, I hope you're well. I'm not going to do any more work for you because I don't like you very much. Well, he's used pictures online to see, because there was knobs missing off the Suzuki speed trip meter and all that sort of stuff, and he's got notes on the MG and all sorts of stuff. I mean, the guy doesn't miss a thing. He's even talking in here about the phone, the little sponge over the pointer to keep it from swinging around during transit. Twist the bezel carefully anti-clockwise until the tapes line up. Gosh. he's got the bearing. So in the box, anyhow, he's got the tack for the Suzuki. He's got the MG's tack down. I've got to do a video on the MG, so that I've got to take the lens off and take the grain thing out of. And he's got the Suzuki Speedo. So let's take a look at these. If I can find what the heck I did with my razor blade. There it is there. We'll start with the MG's tack, eh? Gosh. Packaging is no stranger to hubby. Let's have a look in here. It's so nice. I've had so much support, the XC particularly, from all these other people that have really gone above and beyond to help. And I would never ditch a project if people have helped. I have to store this in a safe place. I'm not ready to pull the MG out yet. The tack in it, yeah, so that's the foam he's talking about. Now the tack looks very similar to how it came out. The difference is I put an electronic ignition in it. And in doing that, the old tack movement, look how immaculate it is, he's cleaned it and everything. The old tack movement wouldn't work with the new electronic ignition. They use a wire loop, and that's the quality of the work. I mean, who does that? It's above and beyond. I mean, I've used a Speedo place years ago, local to me, and I'm not going to mention who it is, and they didn't even do work like that. And they were, everyone in the industry sort of used them. Let's look at these. These were a horrible mess. These things were awful. And I didn't think they were restorable. The bit that's a bit of a problem though, is the instrumentation. And the instrumentation is knackered. You know, we've got this sort of stuff, right? Now, none of these work properly. The original Speedo doesn't look too bad, but again, it doesn't work properly. When you spin this, it just jumps all over the place. So it's all got to be pulled apart and reconditioned properly, and we've got no reset there for it either. There's a tack. Again, that tack's there, and it doesn't work properly. And we've got this one, which is absolutely knackered, right? Now, these are not just like the Honda ones where we pulled it apart, cleaned it, lubricated it, stuck a new dial on and a bit of red stuff on the end of the needle. These are a full-blown job to fix, and I don't really know how to do it. At least not, I don't know how to do it properly. That's all got Celastic around the back too, so someone's had it apart before. So the problem with these is you see them on eBay for about 180 American, and you're getting stuff the same as that. So I don't really know what to do. These are the original instruments from the Suzuki, the T250, and they were a real mess, as I said. And so I bought the eBay ones, which are rubbish. They don't look right on it, but not just that. They actually, well, I know the tack doesn't work properly. It shows 4 ground notes, I think. But these were, in itself, something that I would have considered not possible to restore properly. Holy crap, look at this. Gee whiz. I should have got a before photograph of them to show you. I think I've just opened this the wrong way. I mean, really? That's just nuts. How do you use this? Oh, you can do your... Oh my gosh. I mean, that is perfect. How did he even do it? Look. How do you even... That's what they do from factory, that sort of thing. I don't even know how he did it. Let's have a look at the taco. And these were, as I said, I mean, look, you would never pick that as like brand new. That looks like new old stock. These are definitely going straight back on the bike, and those Evo ones can come straight off. It's the same quality as the Speedo. My gosh. Oh, gee whiz. Harvey, if you see this, I am so indebted to you. It's brand new. I wouldn't have even thought that was possible. I've no idea how he did it. But that's the magic of a craftsman, right? That's what they do. So thank you, sir, so much. I'm so appreciative of the work you've put in. And I certainly wouldn't have dreamt of getting these instruments back in this sort of condition. They're amazing. The crop of cars, the Sigma is still looking lovely, although the cover I had on it leaked and wrecked the paint on the roof and the guard tops. I have to repaint the bonnet, not that guard. Hang on, which one is it? Must be the other one. This has all got to be pulled apart and redone. There's a few blisters in that. I don't like blisters, so that'll come out. But aside from that, the car's looking fine. Bluebird's just a front end rebuild. That's a nothing. The Commodore's probably got a flat battery by now. Here's the Starley. It's the daily, although there's not much daily driving going on now because of all the COVID thing, but I'm very happy with how this looks. And how it drives, it's perfect. It's like a new car, literally. The paint's lovely on it. I was worried about the blotchiness, but really, it's only in the really full sun you can see through parts of it. But I'm not unhappy with how this car's turned out. I'm actually delighted. I'm certainly not going to be, repainting any of it unless I really have to. Susie's Commodore. I'm annoyed about this. Have a look at this. So the other side, the window was broken. Look at the bloody water everywhere. And it's dull. You can't see it on the camera, but it's peely and it's dull and it looks like it's got too much clear on and you've got solvent bleeding through. The colour match is good, but they painted that door and blended it with the front. I think they might have painted the whole side. Hang on a minute, have they? Yeah, it's crap. That's going back. And look at the window. The window, you can't open it. It's a tinted window. Maybe I can see it from the other side. They've put one tinted window in. It's okay for insurance companies to use second-hand parts. Can you see? Yeah, look at that. It's bloody stupid. It's got a film on it. You can see where they've put the tinted window thing on. So it's a second-hand window, which is fine. That doesn't matter. This is the last piece of crap. I would never bother with this. And when it rolled up, Susie goes, "What are you going to do with that?" I said, "Take it down the road." There's a rubbish pile down there. Down there. That rubbish pile's been there for a long time. So this bike was going straight there. And it's just the biggest heap of crap. And I was just going to throw it out. Brakes are seized. You can get a whole new master, cable and caliper for $30 or $40 online, same at the front. But the cables are all shot. But I thought, you know what, I'm desperate for content, so I might as well see if I can get it going. That's the desperate job I was talking about. It was in bits and rusted. I'll show you some pictures, just a moment. So this really isn't my bag. I ran into a guy who used to teach his kid down the road. We were talking about that old Falcon that was dumped, and he offered me a Peewee 125. I thought a Peewee was a Yamaha, but they didn't make a 125, I don't think. Anyway, this thing rolled up on the lawn. Engine was full of water. Lots of water came out of it. It's been disassembled for quite a long time. So I figured, look, I need some content, so let's just see if we can get it going for basically nothing. So we've unseized it all. Really, to make it perfect, you put new bearings through it. There's probably 6 roller bearings you'd put in and swap out the camshaft. The thing with these, though, they seem to have a heck of a vibrant spare parts availability. So, for example, the camshaft, you wouldn't buy the camshaft, you buy the whole head. And the whole head comes with these covers. It comes with the cam, the rocker gear, everything brand new, and it's $50. Do you know what I mean? A whole new carburetor is like $20. A whole new engine is $300. So it turns out that the ignition on this, I think it's the CDI box, is knackered, and I can buy one of them for I think $17, but you can buy the whole ignition for $40. I think it's $40. So I'm going to spend $40 on it to get it going, and then we'll just get rid of it. Tank for the T250, it's a bit dusty, you can see that. These use a vacuum operated fuel tap. So where is it? Here's some hardware, a couple of screens off it. What the heck did it do with it? Basically, it's unlike the other fuel taps you see in that you've got prime off and on, and prime bypasses the diaphragm to fill the carburetor bowls up, and then of course you got off and you got on. Now on, with the tapping on, in the on position, it won't flow fuel until it gets vacuum from the motor through this diaphragm, which pulls that back, that O-ring back, and allows fuel to flow. The idea of this is if you leave the tap on, it doesn't matter. I would sooner have an off and on, but I'll keep this. It's in actually good condition, but before I can bother ordering all this stuff, most of this sort of stuff comes from the US, and then there's your postage and the wait time. I've just ordered another tap locally, which was $29. So it's a dual outlet tap, the same as where are we? This one. So that's what I'm going to go with, and I'll just stick a couple of inline filters in, but I won't end up using that. Seized cables off that rubbish at the front. I'm going to get that going, and I'm going to offer it free to any patron that wants to take it on as a project, like a parent-child type project. It'll run, but it won't have brakes or anything. So, as I said, the front and rear calipers can, and master cylinders can be bought for I think $40 an end, so $80 would completely reco the brakes. But when I give it away, I'll get them to sign a disclaimer, and I'll take the chain off and give it to them in a bag separately. But we might need new cables. Parts for these are so cheap. Even a full set of plastics is like $20. Like, there's just nothing, and they seem to be reliable. If you look online on YouTube, people seem to like them because they're cheap. If you buy a Honda, a Kawasaki or Suzuki or whatever, they're thousands, but these things aren't, because they're crap basically. But the parts have been in very good nick though, and yeah. Anyway, it's food for thought. I'm just going to lube these chains. I've got a chain lubricator here. They're not seized anymore. I've unseized them, but they just need some lubricant putting through. And that one's already starting to yield some results, going all over my 350 fork. I don't like that. Mate, what are you doing? Can't have that. I've got to re-polish those too. But you can see the rusty business coming out of it. And that's free already. Look, it feels rough, but we'll just put some oil through there. I'm just going to let the CRC or the WD-40 run through, and then I'll put some oil in there and let it run some actual lubricant through there. I had these dreadful pocket bikes, 50cc pull start things off eBay. I bought a couple of them for the kids to bang up and down the driveway on. I put some gloves on. And they were so poor in terms of quality. They you'd hold the front wheel between your feet, and there was about 30 degrees slack in the steering because of the flex in the forks. They were actually dangerous, so I didn't want the kids to use them. And anyway, someone came to buy a car. It wasn't a Galaxy. It was, might have been an LJ Terran or something. I can't remember what it was. And the guy came to pick it up and said, "Do you want a free motorbike?" And he goes, "No." And I said, "Well, that's the deal. You can't take the car unless you take those stupid motorbikes." Oh, one of them. The other one I gave to somebody else. So that's it. I'm in two minds whether to take that cover off the T250 again and wind the spring around for the Kickstarter once more. I was going to wait till the first oil change, get it through the roadworthy and all this sort of stuff. I don't know. There's also a bloke, dropping comments who's very, knowledgeable, Andy Reid. He seems to know these things backwards. The smaller port barrels that were on the spare engine when I got it, what he said made perfect sense. They're a smog addition an environmental addition to the later ones, the very last of the T250s, and also the GT250s had smaller carburetors, so people tend to swap out the old ones because they're better. And that makes perfect sense. And he's said so many things, when you're putting the nuts on the barrels, you put elastic around and that'll hold everything there and seal better, and then it's easy to remove later when you need to. Just stuff like that. And I didn't know that. And I should have thought of it, but I didn't. and so thanks very much to Andy Reid as well. So I'm getting lots of support from the Andys. There's 3 of them now that have helped me a lot. So that's it from me. A lot of information in this one, a lot of thanks and some updates, so that's cool. And hopefully very soon the rest of the parts will come, so I can just finish one of these projects off and post it. So thanks very much for watching. What do you reckon? She haven't.